Hi, I'm Opal Mitchell. I work for the Central Arkansas Library System and I work at the Nixon branch in Jacksonville. Tonight I'm doing my Crafting with Opal program that I do on Thursday nights at 7. And tonight I'm going to be showing you how to crochet a simple granny square. And I had supplies available for people to pick up for this program, and a couple of people did get some supplies for it. That's great. I always like it whenever people pick up supplies for the program, because we always try to offer supplies so you don't have to have them yourself if you want to try out the craft. Oh, one of my puppy dogs. Come here. You want it up here. I'll let you up here for a second. She was trying to get some attention, so I brought her up here so she can get attention for just a minute, huh, Zoe? Oh, he's a little fuzzy girl. Okay, so I'm going to be showing y'all how to do granny square tonight, and here's an example of one that's done with a different row of, well, each row is done with a different color. I'll show you how to change colors if you would ever like to learn how to do that, but I'm going to start out with just a solid color yarn, and I'm going to be really just showing you how to do just one like this. You can always get some variegated yarn like this one and do a granny square, and it changes colors for you. It's not on each row, but because it's variegated, you can buy self-striping yarn which will change colors pretty often, and it'll do it like a striping type thing for you with the self-striping yarn. But we're going to be doing just a solid one tonight, and I think I'm going to do the base, like the base part of it, and then I'll do a second row, and that'll show you how to do the technique on just a basic granny square, and you would just continue doing the same thing over and over again until you got it to the size that you wanted. But after I do the second row, I'm going to change color for those of you that would like to see how you would go about doing that. So you're going to have to get down, Zoe, okay? Alright, there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and switch over and, or switch around, so you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Let's see here. Let's see if I can scoot up closer to my camera so I can see what I'm doing. And try to rearrange this just a little bit better. Alrighty. I'm going to be working with this reddish colored yarn tonight, and I'm going to try to keep this extremely simple, so if you have never crocheted before, hopefully you would be able to follow along anyway. Those of you that do know how to crochet, then you'll still be able to see how to do a granny square, but you'll have to bear with me through the basics just to get to that point. But the first time I read directions without seeing how to do a granny square, it actually just didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I really like the self-striping one. I'm going to kind of keep that in the picture a little bit. Alright. To start out with crocheting, if you do any crochet project, you're always going to have to start off with some chains. And with a granny square, a very, very basic granny square, you can do it a lot of different ways. So if you see some directions that are not exactly the way I'm showing you, it's not wrong. It's just another way of doing it. I'm going to try to show you the most simplest one that I know on how to do it. So you're always going to have to do a slip knot first, so before we do our chains. So a slip knot, the way I like to teach it, is this is your working yarn that's connected to your ball of yarn. If you have it laying over the top of your tail, then you're going to take your working yarn and pass it through the back of your circle, like so. And you're going to grab your tail and the working yarn, and you're going to tighten it like so. And that's how you're going to make your slip knot. That's one way of doing it. Now, if you have your tail, let's see, I had it on top before, didn't I? I'm going to have the tail on the bottom, and, well, no, sorry. I'm going to have it on top this time. it depends on where your tail is. If it's on top, then you're going to pass your yarn through the top of your circle to make your slip knot. If your tail is on the bottom, then you're going to pass your yarn through the bottom or the back of it to get your slip knot. So let's do that again. So if it's on top, then we're going to take this and pass it through the top. And what you do is when you're passing it through, you grab a hold of the tail and your working yarn, and then you pull the loop to tighten it. That's your slip knot. So I'm going to do it one more time just for those of you that have never done this before. So now it's on the top again, or it's on the top. So I'm going to pass it through the top like so, and I'm going to do the bottom just so you can kind of tell. So the tail is going to be on the back, as you can see. This because my working yarn's on top, so it's going to go through the back. And you grab a hold of your tail and your working yarn and tighten it up. So that's how to do a slip knot. I'm going to do mine much smaller than this. And if you have any questions, just post it in the comments, and I'd be happy to redo anything that you are not getting. It's a little fuzz. Okay, so I'm going to make my slip knot where my tail is quite a bit smaller, or hopefully. I guess it's not that much smaller. That's okay. Alright, so I got my slip knot. So I'm going to put my crochet hook, put it on there, and I'm going to tighten it. And when you're putting it on your crochet hook, ooh, my camera's not liking me having my hand that close there, because it was refocusing there. You want to tighten it, but you don't want it so tight that this will not move. You want it a little bit loose where your yarn will actually kind of roll around it a little bit. You don't want it too tight, but you don't want to leave a huge gap or anything. Okay, and this is where you want it tightened. You do not want to slide it down here and tighten it down here because that's too small. You want it back on the neck area where it's the bigger area whenever you do this. Okay, so once we have our slip knot and we have it ready, if you are right-handed, which if any of y'all are left-handed, let me know, because this will be really confusing for you if you're left-handed, because left-handed people are going to hold the crochet hook in their left hand, of course, and it's going to be a mirror opposite from what I'm doing. So and that will be really confusing to you if you're left-handed. Now, with holding your yarn in your left hand and your crochet hook in your right hand, you can hold your yarn however you want to. That's comfortable with you. If you're new to this and you're not sure what's comfortable to you as far as how you will hold your yarn, you really don't have to hold it in your left hand a certain way. You can just hold it like this and wrap it over just with your few little fingers here. You're going to notice me, I'm going to wrap it around my bottom finger, or my pinky finger, and then over the top of my index finger. That's just the way I learned how to hold my yarn. That's not the only way to do it. There's many, many different ways of holding your yarn. I've seen a lot of different ways. Just whatever's comfortable for you. And like I said, if you're a beginner and you've never done this before, then wrapping it around your fingers you may not want to do. You may just want to hold it in your left hand, which is fine. And the main thing you want to focus on is how you're wrapping the yarn around your crochet hook when you're doing your stitches. You're always wanting, I'm going to move my ball of yarn because it's kind of sitting in a bad place right now. It needs to be to the left of me instead of to the right of me. That way you guys can kind of tell my working yarn will be over here and my tail will be over here. You always want to take your working yarn and wrap it over from the back of your crochet hook when you're working. Never wrap it around from the front. That's not the correct way to do it. So to do chains, you are going to try to make sure that this stays below your crochet hook, like directly below it like this. And you're going to take this yarn and you're going to wrap it over from the back side of your crochet hook like so. And then you're going to pull this loop over this loop right here. So try to hold it loosely and just pull it through like so. And that's one chain. And we're going to be doing 4 chains to start our granny square. So that's our first one. And then I'm pushing it back onto the neck because you want to make sure that this stays this size. You don't want it down here in this area, because if you have it down here and it gets real tight, that's too small. So push it back here, and then you're going to rotate the working yarn over from the back side over to the front in this area here, and you want to pull this loop over this loop. So I'm just slowly pulling it forward like so. That's my second chain. And we want to do another one, so that the same thing, we're pushing it back, rolling over, and then we're pulling it through. That's my third one. You can see there's 3, it looks like little V's. That's my third one. And now we're going to do a fourth one. Roll it over from the back side, and you're going to pull this one over this one, like so. Alright, so now we've got 4 chains. This is how you start your granny square, because you're going to have the way we're doing our granny square, you're going to have like a little hole in the middle, like this one. It's got a little hole like that. There are ways of doing granny squares where there is no hole, but the one that we're doing will. Okay, so now you've got your 4 chains and your little tail. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to join the tail to this loop right here, and we're going to have like the beginnings of that little hole. So when you're looking at your yarn here with your 4 chains, we're going to want to do a slip knot to join it. And to do a slip knot, I'm only going to put my crochet hook into this back loop right here. This is the top back loop. Hope you can see. So this is my very first chain that I did, and then there's my slip knot that's knotted right there. I'm going to put the crochet hook through that loop right here. So I'm going to put it through there. I'm going to yarn over like so, and I'm going to pull it through this loop, and then I'm also going to pull it through this loop. Alright, and then I'm pulling on this. Okay, so that's my circle that I'm starting with. So I've joined my chain here, so I've got a circle. Alright, so to start this out, we're going to have to chain 3, because we're going to be making groups of double crochets, 3 of them together at a time. To do my first double crochet, I'm going to have to chain 3. So I'm going to yarn over and pull it through that loop, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull it through that one, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull it through that one. I've done 3 of them. So this is going to be considered my first double crochet, even though it's 3 chains. When you're starting a row, which this is going to be the first row of a granny square, we are starting with 3 at the beginning here. Now we're going to actually do what you would call a real granny square, or not a real double crochet. I'm keeping my finger in between there to keep the hole ready, so whenever I push my crochet hook through, it won't have a problem. Alright, this is going to be the first double crochet. You yarn over, and then, so we've got this on the crochet hook, and we got 1 yarn over. I'm going to pass this through the middle of my circle. I'm just kind of trying to hold that one tail out of the way. And I'm going to grab a hold of this yarn right here and pull it through. Alright, and then I'm going to yarn over, pull it through 2 of them, and yarn over and pull it through 2. That's a double crochet. So now I've got my 3 chains that was considered a double crochet, and an actual double crochet that I did. Alright, so we've technically got 2 double crochets going. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to pass it through the hole, I'm going to pull this yarn over through the hole, and then I'm going to yarn over, pull it through 2, and yarn over and pull it through 2. Okay, so this is my first little group of 3 double crochets. So you can kind of see that it's kind of getting started here, and I'll show you an example here. So that's going to be my first little section of double crochets where that pink is. Alright, to get my corner, which you can't see the corner because I did another row on here that in the blue, but you can kind of see the pink underneath it. My corner is actually 2 chains. So I'm going to yarn over, chain 1, yarn over, and chain 2. So all your corners are always going to be 2 chains. So I've got 1 chain made, and then I'm going to be doing 3 more double crochets like I had here. So I'm going to yarn over and go through the hole here, pull it through. So I'm going to yarn over, pull it through 2, and yarn over and pull it through 2. You can kind of tell that that tail I originally started with, I've been actually catching that and actually crocheting around it. That's how I'm hiding my tail as I go, so that I won't have to weave this tail in later. It'll already be kind of weaved in because I'm actually going around it as I'm going around my circle that I made. Alright, so we're going to do another double crochet, so I'm going to yarn over. And see, that's why I keep holding it with that loop. So I'm going underneath and yarning over and pulling that through. Yarn over, pull it through 2, and yarn over and pulling it through 2. So there's my second one. Okay. So now I've got 2, I need a third one. So I'm yarning over, going through my loop, pulling that through, and I'm yarning over, pulling it through 2, and yarning over and pulling it through 2. So there is my second group of double crochets. So now I need to do another corner. So I'm going to chain 2, I'll chain 1, and chain 2. I'm using bigger, thicker yarn, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Alright, so now I'm going to do my third set of double crochets. So I'm yarning over, and I'm going through my center, and I'm yarning over and pulling it through. So I'm yarning over, pulling it through 2, and then yarning over and pulling it through 2. Okay, so there's my next double crochet. So yarn over, go through my hole here, and yarning over, pulling it through just the hole. And now another yarn over, pull it through 2, and yarn over and pulling it through 2. Oh, one of my puppy dogs is coughing. Sorry about that. So there's 2 double crochets. Now we need a third one. So I'm yarning over, going through the circle, yarning over, pulling it through, yarning over and pulling through 2, and yarning over and pulling through 2. Okay, so there's another group of 3 double crochets. So now I want to do another corner. So I need to chain 2, so yarn over and pulling it through. So there's my third corner. So now I need to do my fourth group of double crochets to get my little square going here. So yarn over, and it starts getting a little bit tighter here. Yarn over, pull it through the hole, yarn over, pull it through 2, yarn over and pulling it through 2. Ooh, all my yarn's trying to get caught up in my fingers. Alrighty, so that's my first one. So yarn over, go through the hole, yarn over and pulling it through the hole, yarn over, pulling through 2, and yarn over, pulling it through 2. Okay, so there's my second one. Now that's one more. Yarn over, going through the center, pulling that through, yarn over, pulling it through 2, and yarn over, pulling it through 2. Alright, so there's my third group of double crochets. So now we got one corner left. So we got 3 corners. So we need to chain 2. That's 1, and 2. And to join this, we are going to do a slip knot or a slip stitch to join it. So this is that first one that I did that was 3 chains. So at the top of these 3 chains is where I want to join it. So look at the top to kind of see it. Let's see. You can see one. Wish you could see this a little bit better. I'm having trouble seeing it myself. But we want to grab the top of it. So let's see. Wish I was going to count out my stitches. So there's 1 chain, 2 chain, and then that's my 3rd chain. So you want to make sure you count 3. It's the top of the 3rd chain that we're going to do this. And we want to go under both stitches here. And they call it a V. So here's 1. And there's the second one. Try to move this stuff out of the way so y'all can see it. So I've got my crochet hook underneath just those 2 stitches right there. You can kind of see that's the top of my V, and I've got my crochet hook through it, and I still have that on there. And what I'm going to do, try to hold this better, I'm going to yarn over the top of my crochet hook like so, and I'm going to pull it through this V. So I'm pulling it through those 2, and then I'm also pulling it through the one that's on my crochet hook. Alright, so now I've got it joined right there. And you can kind of tell if you flip it around where your tail is, I've crocheted around that entire tail all around the loop, so I can just snip that off if I want to. Probably should to get that out of the way. So there's the beginning of that. Oops, did not mean to hit my camera. Wonder if I need some more light. That might help a little bit. Okay, so where's some scissors? Because that little tail's bothering me. I'm going to snip that off. So now the back side, you can't see that little tail that I began with. Alright. Alright, so there's our beginning square for the granny square. We've got 4 groups of double crochets and then 4 chains that are 2 chains each on each corner. So we got our corners, and then we got our groups of 3, 3, 3, and 3 of the double crochets. At this point, some people tell you different ways of doing this. I'm going to show you how I like to do it. I like to turn my work at this point before I do the next chains for the next row. So that's the reason why I like to do it, is that way my my chains are facing this direction, because I'm going to go around and come back around to this. So I want them to be facing this way. If you chain them while you're still turned this direction, it's going to be backwards. So so I like to turn it before I chain. So we're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and this is the beginning of the next row, and this is going to be count as your first double crochet for this row, and we're going to be doing 3 of them again. So this will be the first one. So I'm going to yarn over, go under my loop, yarn over, pull it through, in, yarn over, pull it through 2, and yarn over and pull it through 2. So there's my second one, and now we're going to yarn over again, go under, pull that through, and yarn over, pull it through 2, and yarn over, pull it through 2. Alright, so that's my first group of 3 double crochets. And see, we're on the corner. So, since we're on the corner, we need to do 2 chains for the first corner of this row. So we're going to do 1 and 2. So there's the beginning of that corner. So now we're going to do 3 more double crochets. So I'm going to yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through 2, yarn over and pull it through 2. All right, I'm going to go a little bit faster. I think maybe you guys got that. So I'm going to do another double crochet in the corner and a third one. Okay, so this is the beginning of the first corner of this one. So we got 3, and then we have 2 chains and 3 double crochets. Okay, now when you're not on a corner, if you're going over the top of a straight edge, like in these areas, you're not on the corner, you're going to chain 1 for this space. So I'm only going to chain 1 because this is a straight space. This is not a corner. You always do a single chain when you're on a straight edge of a granny square. It's only when you're making a corner that you're going to chain 2. So I only chained 1, and now I'm going to do 3 double crochets because we're going to be going back to this corner. So I'm going to yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through 2, yarn over, pull it through 2. So that's my first. That yarn is trying to get bunched up in my hand. Okay, so I'm going to do a second one. So yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through 2, and yarn over, pull it through 2. The yarn is just bunching up. Okay, so there's my second double crochet, and I'm going to do a third one. You're always going to do groups of 3 double crochets. If you prefer to do half double crochets instead of double crochets, those actually are pretty cute. That's what this one is made out of. These are all half double crochets instead of double crochets. I kind of prefer doing it this way. I teach it with the double crochets because it causes bigger holes and it makes it easier for people learning to do it that way. But I bet you'll find if you like doing half double crochets, you'll like granny squares done that way. I like the smaller holes, and that's what it does. Alright, so I've got 3, and I'm on the corner. So I'm going to be doing 2 chains, because this is my second corner here. That yarn. Okay, so you can kind of see how this is forming. See, this is my corner over here. I went straight, and now I'm coming to my next corner. So I'm going to do 3 double crochets again. 1 and 2 and 3. Ugh. Okay, so there is my second corner. So on your corners, you're always going to have 2 groups of double crochets on the corner, and then in between it you're going to have the 2 chains. Okay, now we're at another straight edge. So here we're only going to chain 1. Alright, so and now we're coming back to another corner, so I'm going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I got 3, and so we're on a corner, so I'm going to chain 2, and now I'm going to make 3 more double crochets to finish the corner. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Alright, so there's my third corner, and now I'm on another straight edge, so I'm going to do 1 chain, and then I'm going to start my next corner with 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. My yarn is not cooperating quite as much. I need to pull some more. Okay. It's getting tangled in my fingers too. Okay. So we are on this corner. So I got my first set of 3 double crochets, and I'm going to chain 2, and now I'm going to do 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and I've gotten around to an area where I'm on a straight edge, so I'm going to chain 1, and then to join it I need to look for the top of my chain from where I began my other row, which I'm having trouble with my yarn here. It's not wanting to cooperate, and I'm having trouble seeing it through my camera here too. Ooh. Wow, that looks weird. Did it get twisted on me? Let's see if I can get it. Okay, there we go. So there's the top of my chain from the other row. So I'm going to yarn over, pull it through the chain, and then pull it through that one to join it. So there is the completion of my second row of my granny square. Now at this point, what I can do is I can show you how to change colors if you would like to see that. Or actually I can kind of sort of not, I can kind of show you how to do that too without actually cutting my yarn. But if you wanted to continue on with the same color, you would just turn your work and chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and see, now we're continuing on a straight edge. So, and what we would do here is that's 1 double crochet, then you would do, or count as 1 double crochet, and then you would actually make a double crochet, and then you would make a second double crochet. And see, we're still on a straight edge of the row. We're not on a corner. So we would chain 1, and then we would be coming to a corner, and so that's when we would make 3 double crochets, chain 2, and then do 3 double crochets. So as long as you know the basics of that when you're coming across a gap here that's on a straight edge, then you're going to still do 3 double crochets, and then we would still be on a straight edge over this area, so we're only going to do 1 chain. And then when you get to your corner, you're going to do 3 double crochets, 2 chains, 3 double crochets, and then when you got to this side, you do 1 chain over this area, 3 double crochets, 1 chain over this area, 3 double crochets, and then your 2 chains, 3 double crochets, and so forth, going around. So I'm going to show you guys real quick. If you wanted to change colors on this row, this is where I did my slip stitch to join my row, and I'm not gonna pull that out. I'm going to, well, here, I'll cut my yarn. This is my slip stitch, so I'm going to cut my yarn and tighten it, and that's how you would tie off, and you'll hide this piece of yarn too whenever you start. But that's what you would do if you wanted that one. And then I'm going to get, whoops, boy, I always do that. Grab some more yarn, and I'm going to grab a different color. I'm going to be doing blue. There's different ways of joining a different color yarn. I'm going to show you a method that I saw that I thought was pretty neat that I've never done before. And with this one, you would start with on a corner, or it could be in the middle section. It doesn't really matter. but you'll do a slip stitch, and I probably need a bigger piece of tail than that because it'd be easier to hide it. Okay, so I'm doing a slip stitch. Alright, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on my corner here, and you're going to actually, oops, they don't do it that way. They actually put their crochet hook through, then put your slip knot on on the crochet hook. So there's our slip knot, and it's on the crochet hook, and they're going to pull it through to the front here while they're holding on to it, and you yarn over and pull it through, and then of course you will have to do 3 of these chains on the corner, and I'm going to hide this yarn. I'm pulling it up against the side here, and now we're going to do a double crochet. And this is not the only way. Like I said, I'll show you another way to do it too. And then I'm going to do another double crochet. Okay, so there's the beginning of this row, and then I'll chain 1 because we're over a straight edge, and then I'm going to do 3 double crochets. And so you'll still do this row the same way you would have if you had continued with the same color. Alright, so see, that's the beginning of this row, and you would continue all the way around, and then crochet over the top of this string when you come back around so you can cover it up. That's kind of like what I did on this one, so you can kind of hide your tail as you go. And so you would do 1 chain, and then you would do your corner and so forth like you normally would. And of course when you came back around on this side, since you started with 3 double crochets, when you got up here you would do a single crochet or a single chain over this area, then you would do 3 double crochets, and then 2 chains, and then you would join it with a slip stitch on the corner. Now I'll show you another method, and it's the one that I used to do. I think I might start doing this one. I kind of like this one. Alright, so say you didn't want to do it that way. Say you wanted to join your new yarn on this one. So I'm going to pull that apart. Okay. Alright, so I want to join my new yarn here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go underneath there like I did last time. Instead of pulling my red through, I'm going to pull my blue through here. I'm going to hold on to all my pieces of yarn here while I do this. And you're going to pull it through like this. The reason why I grabbed it before I pulled it through this top edge is because this is the beginning of your next row. You don't want red to be popping through onto the next row yet. Or you just don't want it to show up yet. Or not at all, actually. I keep saying yet. Well, you just don't want it to be there at all. Okay, so I'm going to pull both of those tails out of the way, and I'm going to turn my yarn, and I'm going to like kind of pull them over the top like so. Alright, and I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to do my double crochet, and I'm going to go around it. I'm going around all those pieces of yarn that are tails too. I'll go around that, and I'm going around that. This is the way I've always done it. I just saw in the book how you could do it the other way. So there's my first set of double crochets on this new row with a different color. And so you would chain 1 because we're still on the straight edge. And let's see, I guess I'll pull that around to the back so it won't be in the way. Alright, and then we already chained one, so now we're going to do our corner with 3 double crochets. And you may even see any more videos on different ways of doing the changing colors. There's probably other ways of doing it. Alright, so there's my 3 double, and then I'm going to chain 2 for my corner. And then I'm going to do 3 more double crochets to finish the corner. Alright, so there's my corner for this row, and then I've got my straight edge, so I'm going to chain 1 and then 3 double crochets in this. And that's one thing you just have to remember, you're always going to be doing groups of 3 double crochets. The only time you're not going to be doing, like on your corners, you'll always do 2 chains, and then on the straight edges you'll be doing 1 chain. So I'm still on the straight part, so I'm going to do 1 chain, and then coming to my next corner I'll do 3 double crochets, and there's my yarn getting all bunched up again together in my hands. And there's my 3. And then here's my corner, so I'm going to do 2 chains, and my yarn is getting bunched up again, so I'm going to pull some more loose, and then 3 double crochets. Alright, unless anyone has any questions, or if you wanted me to, I don't know if you want me to continue, but you can kind of see how it's shaping up. I did my corners here, and you're just going to come all the way around, and when we get to this edge over here, we started with the 3 double crochets. Once you do this corner with the 2 groups of double crochets in the single, or the 3 double crochets with the 2 chains on the corner, you'll do 1 chain, and then you'll do a slip stitch to join to this row, and then you'll come up and do 3 chains to start your next row, and then go around with it again. So that's how to do a basic granny square. Like I said, there's different ways of doing things, and you can find other ways that you might like better, but that's the way that I have always done mine, that I've always liked. And it's a lot of fun to do granny squares with self-striping yarn even. I'm sure you've seen some in the stores. They're really pretty. I do like those. Okay, that's going to be it. And I'm going to show you real quick next week's project. It's going to be a sewing project, and it's going to be a basic tote bag. And it's actually reversible even. So we have it lined so you can reverse it if you want to. And the great thing about this sewing project is if you want a smaller version of this bag, it's really simple to make it smaller, shorter handles, longer handles, depending on what you want. Or you can make it a large, like, grocery type bag too. A lot of times what people will do, if they're making it as a grocery bag, instead of using cotton fabric, they'll use canvas fabric instead, and they'll maybe line the canvas with regular cotton fabric and have the outside be the canvas fabric. Makes it a little bit more sturdier if you wanted to have like a shopping bag. It's a really easy one to do, and you learn a lot of nice basic things on how to do a basic bag, because you learn how to box the bottom of your bag, and you can box this too where it's a bigger bottom to it. This is very small the way this one's boxed, but you can make it quite a bit bigger if you want to also. And it's versatile enough that you could use the pattern to make a small box, fabric box, like if you wanted one to use as a, like instead of a little basket, it could be like a basket type thing made out of fabric, and you can use the canvas fabric for that, or you could take your cotton fabric and use interfacing in it to make it a little bit stronger if you wanted to, where it would stand up better. Alright, that'll be, I know I just said it was next week, but it's not next week. This project isn't. This one is actually in 2 weeks. Next week I'm not going to have a crafting with Opal. We are doing a different program next Thursday. The program for next Thursday starts at 6 o'clock, and it's going to be one that's geared towards parents and their senior kids that are either juniors or seniors in high school that are looking at what are we going to do after high school. And they're going to have a lot of different individuals. It's a Zoom program where you can actually participate in it, and they're going to be giving away a $25 gift card during the program. But it's a way for parents and their kids to kind of find out what other things are available for their kids to do beyond just going to college. So they've, I think, got together quite a few. I think my boss said she almost had like 7 different people that are going to be participating in that to talk to the kids and the parents about what they can do. So if you know anyone that'd be interested in that program, or if you are, please go to our Facebook page and click on the link to get an invite to the program. And if you sign up for it, you'll get in the drawing for the $25 gift card that they're going to be giving away during the program. And that's at 6 o'clock next Thursday. If you want to do my tote bag sewing project, it's going to be in 2 weeks at 7 o'clock. So you can join me then. And if you want to sign up for that one, I believe the sign up, you could probably start signing up for the tote bag one tomorrow. I should have the sign up sheet out. You'll just have 2 weeks to sign up for that one, a little bit longer than what people normally have. I usually only have a week, but so I'll put that out if you want to sign up, and you can get fabric for this project by signing up for it. I won't probably have it available to pick up until the following week, right before the program. So, and you can always call to sign up for it, and the phone number at the library is 501-457-5038, and just tell them you want to sign up for the tote bag project for the Crafting with Opal. Alright, well, that's it for tonight. Thanks for watching, and see y'all later. Bye-bye. Well...